right. Cool. Let's just check our audio and other technicals before we get started. So can anyone hear me? Can you guys say something that I know you guys can hear me?
Hi.
Okay, cool.
Hello.
All right. Seems like you can hear me. So that's fine. Yeah. So for today, we'll be looking at some interesting positions, interesting games. So let's get started, right? So there is this classical game that was played like a century ago, like almost 150 years ago. But it's been, oh, what happened? Hang on, let me just check what happened. Are there any technical difficulties here? Excuse me, guys. My laptop just crashed. So I'm gonna just restart this program. So hold your breath for a few moments if you can. All right. Let's reshare the screen. Okay. So yeah, there's this old game that was played like a century ago, and it's pretty instructive. So let's look at that game. Might take like half a lesson, and then we can take a look at some of the position. So, all right. So the game started with d4, f5. So for those of you who don't know, this is the Dutch opening. And like so 100 and 150 years ago, actually 150 years ago, the theory was not that developed. People didn't know the more strategical ways of playing chess. So during that era, most of the players were like very, very attacking, aggressive, playing gambits. And so this is like a different side variation and in the Dutch opening, e4. So this is called as a Staunton gambit. White's idea is that he sacrifices this pawn and then tries to get a lead in development. Right, so take, knight c3. And now my idea is that I want to capture this pawn. So there are a few ways that black can respond to this. He can play knight f6 or he can play d5. However, d5 really doesn't work. Can any of you guys guess why d5 wouldn't work? I don't know, like how white can respond after d5.
Bishop b5 check.
Bishop b5, then I'll play c6.
Then you'll have to move the bishop back.
Right, and okay, so now you're a pawn down, right? So you move bishop e2 or bishop a4, you're a pawn down. So the goal here is to recover your pawn. So white sacrificed a pawn in the opening, and so the goal is to get that back. How would you do that?
Queen h5 check.
Right. So after d5, queen h5 check is the right answer. Okay. So all right. Yeah. Queen h5 check, and then black has to stop. What is happening? So black has to answer in some fashion. So let's say you play g6, and then I take queen into d5, and white gets back his pawn, and with a better pawn structure, right? So black's e4 pawn is weak, and so white has a better position. So d5 doesn't really work. Black played knight f6, supporting his pawn, and then white plays bishop g5. So white's idea is again that he wants to take this knight and then take the pawn, right? And now supporting, protecting the pawn on e4 becomes untenable. Black cannot protect it anymore. If he plays d5, it's the same thing. Take, and then check, and then again queen into d5. Then again, white has a slightly better position due to lead in development. So black plays e6. So he says, okay, I'll give back the pawn. I'll just continue with normal development. So plays e6. So e6, I take back the pawn. Black plays bishop e7. Now black is threatening to take the knight. So white exchanges take, and knight f3. So knight f3. Now black plays b6. Okay, so his idea is that I want to play bishop b7 and attack your knight. Black plays bishop d3. Black plays bishop b7. White plays knight f5. Okay, so all this is a pretty standard opening stuff. I mean, usually, 150 years ago, as I said, there was no theory. So players used to play by general principles of the game, which is concentrating on the development, developing your pieces, castling your king, and stuff like that. So here, white is also threatening a queen h5 check, which can get very unpleasant for black. So black decides to castle. Then white plays queen h5 anyway. So white's idea is that if I take, he wants to take, and then he will take queen h7 check, right? So if I get a chance, if white gets an extra moves, I'll take, and then let's say takes the queen, and then it's checkmate, right? So that's white's idea, the obvious one. And so black finds a clever way to defend it, right? So he plays queen e7. So, right. Plays queen e7 here. And black basically is saying that if you take my bishop, then I'm going to take with the pawn. I defend the checkmate, and also your knight's getting attacked. And it's like this is a fine position for black. But an okay position for black. So that's what black's idea is here. And I think this is an interesting moment in the game because from here, white has to white has to find a plan to continue the attack, right? Or how to continue. So I think this is a good point. I mean, I think this is a very good point in the game for you guys to start thinking on how white should continue. By the way, just a very open question. Has any of you guys seen this position before? Looked at this position before? Okay, so I'm going to assume that's a no. So that's a good thing because you're looking at a new position. And from here on, yeah, I think I'll just let you guys think. This is a tough combination to find. So I'm going to give you guys like around 10 minutes to think on it. So yes, time starts now. So it is white to play. I'll repeat, it's white to play. And I want you guys to think on how white can continue his attack. So your 10 minutes start now. White to play. Okay. Yes. That's it's about 10 minutes. So let's open this session up. Anyone got any ideas on?
I think I have an idea.
I think
so.
All right. So who's gonna go first?
I'll go first. So knight on e4 to g5.
Okay. So so one of the things we have always stressed in our lessons is that you got to think in terms of pairs, right? So it's not just what white is going to play. You also have to anticipate, calculate what your opponent is going to play, and like how he's going to respond to what you're going to play. So what do you think black will do in this case after knight g5?
Yeah, he's gonna use his bishop to capture the knight because he knows that if he doesn't, we can just do like a check, which can lead to a checkmate.
Yeah, so knight g5, bishop into g5, and then you have queen h7 mate, right? So that's okay. I mean, like that's one variation. So obviously taking the knight is bad for black. So what else can he play? How else is he going to respond? What else can black play? So let's ask Abhijit, since he also wanted to go first. So knight g5, Abhijit, how will black respond to knight g5?
Black might play g6.
That's correct. G6. Okay, Adip, it's your turn.
Wait, what? I couldn't hear. Wait, what did you say, Abhijit? I just couldn't hear you.
I said black could play g6.
And then I would do king to h7.
Queen to h7, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, Abhijit then. So Adip just played queen into h7. So we're doing a blindfold calculation right now, right? So without moving pieces, I want to force you guys to think without moving pieces. So
if he does queen h7, then I do queen takes h7.
Right.
Which is basically the only move to prevent checkmate.
Yes, you're right. Your turn, Adip.
Oh.
The queen's defending it since the pawn was clear.
Yes, that's very good. Yes, g6, and then you defend it.
Oh wait. Oh yeah, right. Another.
Then you're knight up.
Oh yeah, right. I also had another variation as well. So my second variation was like. So
okay, hang on a second there, Adip. So let's just finish that thought first. Okay, so first variation that Adip was thinking about is knight g5, and obviously if black takes it, then there is mate, right? So that's like one small variation, but like one of the things we looked, like we have been continuously practicing in our calculation lessons is that you have to think about different alternatives for your opponent. So you don't just calculate bad moves for your opponent, or you don't, let me put it this way, just daydreaming about your opponent making mistakes isn't going to help you find the correct move, right? So, and I think that's one thing that Adip, I think you can improve on here, right? So I think knight g5 is an interesting move, but you just saw one variation. You saw that, okay, he takes the knight and then I'll mate him, and then boom, that's it. Then knight g5 is my variation, I'm done. In my view, I think you should have, like looked at better defense alternatives for what black can play. I mean, you got mate in one variation, but that your opponent wouldn't allow that. You now have to put in your opponent's shoes, and then think what he's going to do. So knight g5, say now you're black. You continuously have to change the thinking mode. You continuously have to change the color in your head. So even though you're thinking from white's perspective, for finding out white's best move, you also have to find out black's best defenses. And that's how you filter out the bad variations. So for instance, knight g5 is an interesting move, but after g6, I think white is kind of just going to end up like a piece down, as Abhijit noted. He's just going to lose one knight. His queen is attacked, so obviously he has to do something. If you take queen into h7, then I'll take it. And take, and now I'm a knight up. Okay, you take this with the knight. Maybe I play something like rook d8, and now you don't have any good checks. You go anywhere, I'm just going to move my king, and then I have an extra knight. And one other thing that we have always done is evaluation, right? So we calculate and then we evaluate. And what is your evaluation when you look at this position, this end position? This is the end of your calculation, right, Adip? So how do you evaluate this position? Is it good for white, good for black, equals?
Black is winning.
Right, yeah. So it's good for black. Black is a knight up, and so you should win, right?
What's the calculation one?
So I think we have like a clear area where we can focus your improvement, right? So personally, I have ran into that same problem. Like when I was your age, when I was your level, it can become overwhelming to just concentrate on your ideas. So like as white, you want to mate, checkmate, 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 and so you're gonna think your mind is gonna trick you into thinking that black is gonna do exactly the same thing that you want, right? So that's your mind tricking you, and so you have to overcome that. That's where deliberate practice, that's where consciously practicing the skill of like stopping your mind and trying to put yourself in your opponent's shoes and thinking from his perspective, okay, now how is he going to respond? And I think that's a lesson for you here, Adi. I mean, yeah, so knight g5, g6, and I think white's attack is pretty much finished there. Okay, Abhijit, did you had any other alternatives? Since you went kind of like both at the same time, I also want to give you a chance. If you had any ideas on how white should continue. You're muted. Yeah.
After g6.
Okay. So knight g5,
the
g6.
queen would just have to it could go to queen h6, but there's nothing really significant about that because it does not lead to checkmate. So the queen would have to retreat back.
Okay. And then what's your evaluation in that instance?
So black wins. No. Well,
so g6,
I would say
where would you move your queen?
I would move my queen to g4.
Okay, and then what would black play?
Then black will play bishop takes e5, probably to remove the threat of checkmate.
Bishop takes e5, that's interesting. Yeah, so I think black can improve his play, right? So knight g5, g6, queen g4, and there is a very simple move after which black just is winning. Can you find that?
Yeah. Bishop takes g5.
Yeah, it just takes the
Just
knight,
the
right?
knight out. Just the knight.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, for you, I think the lesson here, or one area of improvement, is that you just have to increase the depth of your calculation. I think maybe you just stopped your calculation after black played g6, and then you just stop. Hey, now there is no checkmate, so it's equal and done, right? But you have to realize that if there is no checkmate, then white is losing its knight, and then you're losing, right? So it's not just equal, it's now you're losing. So knight g5 essentially becomes like a big mistake. It's like a blunder. White is losing. White is losing after black's best play, right? So I think one thing for you to definitely improve on is that you got to go deep. You just got to keep on thinking. You know, like you calculate a 2-move variation, knight g5, g6, queen h7. Okay, no mate, and then you just stop there. I think you should just keep on going. Hang on, Adip. I got to finish a thought here. So that's what you need to do, Abhijit. You know, like so. And one of the, you know, like not one of the, I think the most critical skill set for becoming a better and a good chess player is that you must have awesome calculation skills. You know, like you should be able to go 3 moves, 4 moves, 5 moves, 10 moves, 15 moves deep, right? So grandmasters, world champions, they are easily, you know, like when the situation demands, they can easily count, calculate up till 15, 20 moves deep. And if you consider it, you know, like white 1 move, black 1 move, then that's like 40 moves deep. You know, like they can go 40 moves deep, including both white and black. So we are going to work on those skills for you guys. But as a coach, I can only give you positions. I can tell you the different ways to calculate on easing up calculation. The other part of calculation is obviously evaluation. So that's where a skill set of a coach comes in. A coach helps you form good evaluations, but the actual part of calculating itself, that has to be done by you guys. You guys have to push yourselves. You know, like you guys should not stop your calculation and then say, okay, I'm done. No, go further. Okay, knight g5, g6. Okay, what then? Knight g5. If black doesn't takes on g5, what else can he play? So you got to force yourselves to think on those lines. Okay.
Got it.
Good. Anyone else want to give it a shot on how white can continue here?
Wait, can I try?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Knight to d6.
Aha, knight to d6. Okay, that's an interesting move. I like this move because okay, I'm just not gonna play this. So knight d6. How can black respond to it? So white's idea is that he's attacking both the bishop and the mate on h7 by playing knight d6. So Kiran, let's ask you that same question. As I said earlier to both Adip and Abhijit, that you got to also anticipate how your opponent is going to play. What will be your opponent's reaction? So what do you think after knight d6 black will play? How will black respond?
G6, I believe.
Right, so g6, go on.
Then white would.
So g6 now, white's queen is attacked. So you obviously have to respond. If you move your queen, then you lose your knight on d6, right? So then you will be knight down. So you cannot stop your calculations here. This is not a stopping point for calculations. So after g6, you have to keep on going. You have to keep on calculating. So g6, now what?
Bishop takes g6.
Okay, bishop takes g6. Now black.
Pawn h takes g6.
Okay, h takes g6.
And then knight takes g6.
Okay, knight takes g6. And then, okay, how can black continue after that? I am very happy that you have been able to go this deep. This is almost like 4 moves deep. But the variation is not over yet. I mean, black still can respond in some interesting ways. I am purposefully not playing the moves on the board because I want you guys to calculate and visualize how the pieces can look on the board. Other guys, like feel free to chime in this variation. It's not just Kiran that I'm hoping to get answers from. You guys can also contribute if you can find how the variation should go. So right now, I'll just repeat where we are. So white plays knight d6. The obvious threat is that he's attacking the bishop on b7 and then he's attacking the pawn on h7. So basically, he's threatening queen into h7 checkmate. G6, black plays g6. So I think g6 is a very standard reaction. You want to stop the checkmate and also attack white's queen. Kiran took bishop into g6. Black took pawn into g6 and now knight into g6. Bishop into g6, h into g6, and now knight into g6, and now it's black to play. Anyone else? So let me help you guys by putting it on the board. Okay, so knight d6, right? Checkmate and bishop attack. G6 is standard reaction. Takes. So Kiran took bishop into g6, h into g6. By the way, there is another move that black can play, but we can discuss that later. And knight into g6. Now what?
I think.
Feel free to say what you think.
I think the best move for black would be probably queen to d8, I believe.
Queen to d8? Why can't I just take this?
You.
Still checking mate.
Okay. How will you check and
It's
mate?
because
Queen h8.
after knight takes knight takes f8. So that's
Okay. Okay, so there are two options. Abhijit says there is checkmate after queen h8.
Yeah, but it's not exactly checkmate. But then, sorry, I didn't see the queen.
It
I
would
thought the
be
rook was undefended.
White's next move would be knight takes f8, the rook. Then king takes f8. Then queen h6 check.
Okay. And then? Queen h6 check, then what would black play? So I can help you out here, Kiran, right? So we don't have to dwell on this a lot. So knight f8, I think king f8 is okay. King f8, queen h6 check, I can just play bishop g7. And we can sort of pause here. We don't have to stop, but we can just pause and take a hard look at the position and try to evaluate it. In terms of material, in terms of king safety, and stuff like that. So obviously, I will agree that Black's king has been exposed. He has no pawn shelter, right? So in the traditional sense, pawns are good for defense. So he doesn't have that. But so I will give you that. But what about the material? What about the rest of the material? Do you think who is materially better here at this stage?
Black's, because black has 3 minor pieces and 1 rook, but white has only 2 rooks and a queen.
Yeah. Yes. So strictly materially speaking, if we take the mathematical approach, like if we say bishop is 3 point, bishop is 3 point, knight is 3 points. So black has 9 points, whereas white has 5 points and probably 2 points. So that's like rook and 2 pawns for 3 pieces. That's the material equilibrium right now. And even with that, black is like 2 points ahead. And okay, so materially speaking, black is better. But does white have any other compensation for it? So I don't see any checkmate. I don't see that white is checkmating black. I don't see that. I don't see obvious checkmate. Actually, I see that white will have to play something like he will have to retreat his queen, maybe to g5 or g6. I don't know, but black can just play knight c6, develop his pieces, and then and then just start attacking white's queen again. Knight c6, or maybe even better, maybe a check, right? A check, and then if you play c3, then I'll take. I can just take more material and just be more ahead in materially. And I don't see a checkmate. So it's not just that white is behind material, but he doesn't have any compensation. If let's say if he had his rook on g3 around here or on f4, then I would say, okay, the material is not a big factor here because black's king is getting checkmated. But white doesn't have any development here, right? So I would say that black has better here. He can win. I think he has good winning chances. He should win if he doesn't make any mistakes. But I'll just say black is better here. And maybe I'll just put that black is better here as well with that logic. But I'm glad, Kiran, that you were able to calculate so far. If I go back, so take, there are a few options, right? So queen d6, queen h8 is obviously a mistake. Right, Abhijit? So why is queen h8 mistake? That's the move you mentioned. Abhijit, you're muted.
Then, sorry. So then king f7, and after then it would have been checkmate if the queen was not at d6.
Okay. So black can play king f7, okay? But there is something better for black here. Can anyone spot that?
Oh, the bishop just takes the queen.
Right? Yeah. So I think that's one other data point that we have about you, Abhijit. Some visualization skills have to improve. Uh, it's very clear that black is supporting that square. The queen h8 is definitely not possible. Anyway, so knight f8, he can take king f8. He can also take queen takes f8. Again, I don't see any checkmates. Yeah, on castle, I can play knight c6, or I can just play queen f7. I think what black should try to do in this position is that his king is exposed, right? So we already know that. So if the queens get exchanged, so if the queens get exchanged, the fear of checkmate completely goes away, and now black can just just play on material superiority. He can just he just has a winning position now. So after the queens are exchanged, I would say that black is completely winning because there is no attack for white without the queens, and black is just materially better. He's materially up, and he's winning. That's how I would put it. So play can go on from this instance, but again, I would say that I don't see any checkmate immediately, and black has good resources to defend himself against white's attacks. So black is better in this position. Let's go back a few moves. So g6, bishop to g6, Kiran. I think as I said, black can play at g6, but there was a different move. The different move is that I can simply take c to d6 now, because now I've defended the checkmate, and so I can just take a knight. And again, I think black is winning here because now there are two pieces under attack. The bishop on g6 is under attack. The knight on e5 is under attack. And already black is a knight up. He already has an extra knight, and he's going to get one more piece on top of that. So black will be two pieces up, and again, he will be winning. So knight d6 is an interesting variation. Bishop into g6, I can simply take the knight. If you remove the queen, queen h6, then I can just take the knight. Again, I am I'm a knight up. So just for academic purpose, I'm gonna look at a few variations. So there is another variation where white can take knight into g6. The idea is that I'm also attacking the queen, so you necessarily cannot take the knight, right? So this is not possible. Taking the knight is not possible because the queen is on attack. But anyhow, I can take on g6. Again, the queen is attacked. If you take bishop into g6, then I can just take the knight, right? And now black is two pieces up. Black is two pieces up. And there is no checkmate. Right? I don't see a checkmate on black here. So black is winning. So that's another variation there. See all these variations, I'm able to see it because my calculation skills are good, but that's where I want you guys to, I want to push you guys to that level so that you guys can also calculate these variations as fast as I can, right? So, okay, bishop into g6 clearly isn't working. So white can take queen to g6. Now it's a check. So black has to do something. He plays queen g7. Take, and take. Okay. So now this is an interesting position because now the material is equal. Not equal, but white is 2 pawns up. And now it's going to be tricky to evaluate this position. So, I was hoping, Kiran, that you would find this variation, like when you suggested knight d6. But in any case, I think you did a good job of calculating the other variations. So this is, I think, the most critical variation in determining if knight d6 is good. What do you guys think? Is white better here, or is white just winning? Or does black have some counter chances here? Does black have something that we might be missing?
It can take the pawn on d4.
Right. So I think first things first, black can just quickly, like restore material equality. Now I'm attacking f2 as well as b2. He has to do something.
And
long.
also, sorry to interrupt, but I'm just saying that White's knight is trapped, so it can't move. So
Bingo! That's nice. Yes, that's the observation I was looking for. The thing is that even though the material, like white is materially better, like he has same number of pieces, maybe an extra pawn here and there. The thing that's going to matter in the long run is that this knight is trapped. Like it has no escape square. So, and really, I don't see, like if he gives both sides a few moves, like 2 or 3 moves, I don't see how white can save this knight. For example, let's say white has short castles, he defends his f2 pawn, black takes, like he just takes another pawn, and now the material is completely equal, right? So now it's just 5 pawns for white, 5 pawns for black. And let's say let's rook b1, I come back. Now material is equal, but when you consider the piece position, this knight is hopeless. Black has a very straightforward plan of playing a6. Like I think he has a few plans, but one plan that I would play is that I'll just play a6 and rook a7, and boom, this knight is gone. And then I have an extra knight again. And that's where I think the knight d6 variation, like I think this is the proper stopping point. This is the proper end to the knight d6 variation. And I would say that in all the variations, like in all the possibilities, in all the alternatives we saw for black after knight d6, for both white and black, white is not in a good position after knight d6. The reason is that we will still have material equality in terms of pieces. Like there will be same number of pieces, but this knight is trapped, and white is going to lose this knight. And that's why this is one thing that you should definitely, like. I think you guys are making progress in this sense. You didn't find this variation now, or you didn't come to this evaluation now, but I think this is just a good lesson. So I wouldn't think too much on it. And black is winning. So ideally, I would have liked for you guys to come to this evaluation, to come to this conclusion, and also find this variation. But if you didn't, it's fine. I think you made a good effort. And I think now you guys know that this is one thing that you also have to keep in mind when you're calculating variations. Kiran, so since you suggested this variation, I just wanted to check with you if you have any questions. Does it make sense, these variations? Do these variations sound convincing to you? You're muted, Kiran. Can't hear you. Let's unmute Kiran. Having trouble unmuting himself. Yeah, Kiran, any questions on this variation?
No.
It's convincing, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so let's go back. Ooh, so many moves, right? But that's how much you have to calculate, right? So white calculated all this. So that's why he rejected both knight g5 and knight d6. And the final variation that we are about to see, it's gonna blow your minds. So get ready for it. But before we do that, let's just go through knight d6. So I think knight d6 was an interesting try. The same thing for knight c5, right? So knight c5 or knight d6, they're gonna just end up in the same way. So let's just go knight d6. The idea for both knight d5 and knight d6 is attacking bishop on b7, but then g6. We take with the knight. If you take with the bishop, then I can just take the knight. Nothing for white here. If you move your queen, then I just take the knight. Nothing for white here again. We take with the knight, then take, and queen g7. And okay, now we have to exchange the queens. Blah blah blah. Take. And as we saw, take, come back, and we have a bad knight. Right. So I'm just gonna put this into comments here. Let's clear. White's knight on b7 is trapped! Exclamation. And black will take it. So black is better. Right. Cool. Okay, so let's go back to our starting position. Anyone else, like before we see the actual solution, anyone else wants to give another shot? Or do you want to see how white actually continued the game?
White could play knight takes f6.
Yeah, so knight into f6, I think we saw, right? So take, and then I'm supporting my. Yeah, and I think knight f6 is a reasonable move. Here, white is not losing. Now he just has to retreat his knight, and then
I have another variation.
yes, it's equal here, right? So hang on, Kiran. Before we look at your variation, I just want to first conclude this variation that Abhijit suggested. And this is equal, right, Abhijit? I mean, no one is piece up, no one is piece down. It's okay. Play will go on. So, I mean, I'm not saying we can stop here. I mean, but I think play can go on. But this is not the main variation that white played. Yeah, Kiran?
Queen takes h7 check.
Okay, so that seems like a bold move. I take king into h7.
And then king takes
h7.
h7.
Yeah.
This is only move, and then knight takes f6 check, double check.
Okay. If I play king h8?
Okay. Then knight to knight to g6 check.
And what would black play?
Knight takes e7 check. Knight takes e7 check.
Okay. And so then what would black play? All right. So I think Kiran, you have something there. I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you the credit for like looking at it creatively, and like I think you are trying to get the critical idea in this position. Okay, so there is definitely something to do with the white queen and the black king. But in the interest of time, since we are nearing the end of the session, I'm just going to continue. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, I think Kiran suggested the good move, but the thing is that you have to calculate till the end. There are alternatives that your opponent can play, and so to find the best move, as I said, to find your best move, you also have to look at your opponent's possibilities. You also have to look at your opponent's best moves on your hop on the different defenses your opponent can give. In any case, queen into h7 is what was played. And we are just going to see. So prepare to be blown away. Okay, so this is going to be an awesome variation. Black has to take, right? It's take, and at f6 check. That's also correct. Now in this position, black has two alternatives, right? So it's double check. It's checked by the bishop. It's checked by the knight. Okay, so black can't do anything in between. He can't take the knight because again the bishop is checked. So he has only two moves here. Either can go king h8 or king h6. So let's just take king h8 out of the way. King h8, knight g6, checkmate. Period. Okay, so Kiran, I know you were close. You suggested knight g6, but you didn't say it's checkmate, right? So that's why I was asking what would black play, and all you had to say was he cannot play anything because it's a checkmate. So I know you found this variation, but still, like you got to understand that it was a checkmate. Black cannot play anything else here. Okay, but good job, buddy. That's a very good job. Okay, so knight g6 checkmate, right? So that's a shocker. So what else is black gonna play? So king h6 is the only option, right? So king h6. Now this starts, actually queen into h7 starts the whole series of force moves. Knight eg4 check. What's black gonna play? There is an only move.
King h5.
Can you play king h5?
I mean king to g5.
So you cannot play anywhere here, right? This is controlled by the knight. And this too is controlled by the bishop. So king g5. h4. Check. So what's black gonna play?
King to f4.
Right. So these two squares, it cannot go to these two squares. This is controlled by the knight. This is controlled by the knight. This is controlled by this knight, and this is controlled by this knight. Right. So it goes both ways. So no, he cannot go on any of the red squares. So the only square that's remaining is this f4, the king f4, g3 check. Now what's black gonna play?
King f3.
King f3, right? So again, the bishop is controlling, bad arrow. Bishop is controlling e4 and f5. Pawn is controlling e5. This pawn is controlling g5. This knight is controlling g4. This pawn is this pawn is controlling e3 as well as g3. So the only square that remains is f3. Boom, king f3.
Bishop e2.
Bishop e2. What's black gonna play?
King g2.
King g2, right? So now here's a tricking thing. This square is controlled by the king. This square is controlled by the king. This square is controlled by the pawn. This square is controlled by the knight. This square is controlled by the pawn. This square is controlled by the knight as well as the bishop. There is a check, and so king g2 is the only square. King g2, rook h2 check. Again, controlled by the knight, controlled by the king and bishop, controlled by the rook. Only square, king g1. Checkmate. No castle. Wasn't that just awesome? Wasn't that freaking awesome?
Yes.
Checkmate with long castles.
Without even a queen, he did it.
Exactly. And like the like it's a beautiful story for the black king, because like if we draw a peace path here, how should I hang on? So the black king, sorry, king g1. Yeah, I think there is here like I have to do peace path.
Is this lesson of King Hunt? Isn't it called a King Hunt?
Yeah. So king g1, and you can see in the small board that the black king started all the way from g8, and it's all fours: h7, h6, g5, f4, f3, g2, g1. So he goes from g8 to g1.
That's a King Hunt.
Checkmate. Yeah. So remove this. Right. So this is a very interesting, not interesting. This is just a mind-blowing thing. Like the black king started all the way from g8, h7, h6, g5, f4, f3, g2, g1. Then he got checkmate. Yeah. So let's look at this again. Then we can conclude this lesson. But it was just freaking awesome. I cannot resist it. Take, and it's all fours. He has to take. I take with a double check. So he has to play king h6. With king h8, checkmate, right? King h6, check. King g5, check. King f4, forced. Check. King e2, forced. Check. King g2, forced. Check. Mate. Yes, mate. All right. That's about it. So, I mean, one thing I would stress is that without good calculation skills, like White, it's not that the first move White saw was the queen sacrifice. He did consider the other alternatives. And when he didn't find a win in the obvious moves, like the quote-unquote obvious moves, like knight f6, knight d6, or knight g5, like these were the first moves that White considered, because they are the obvious. But after that, when he didn't find a win, then that's when he just, put himself in the chair and started calculating on how I can exploit the situation. And before making that queen sacrifice, like you cannot first give the queen and then start thinking, because you can end up in a lost position. Like you can just end up as queen down, right? If you don't see the actual checkmate. White was second world champion Emanuel Lasker. So you can see the calculation power, the calculation prowess of world champions. He just calculated all this in his head that, okay, I'm going to bring his king to g1 and then going to checkmate him. And then he decided to play queen into h7. So he calculated, I think this is like a sequence of 8 moves. If you consider white and black, it's a sequence of 16 moves. 8 moves white, 8 moves black. So that's a big calculation tree. So again, this lesson, this position is meant to inspire you guys to improve your calculation skills. Like if you improve your calculation skills, you also can find solutions, brilliant solutions like this. So that's why it's critical that like you have good skills, and that's why in these lessons we mostly we are building up your foundations. We are building up your calculation skills by one by going through pawn and game, stuff like that. Slowly but surely, we want to improve your calculation skills. Any questions in any of the lines? Any comments before we head off for the weekend? All right, so I'm gonna assume no questions, and then I'll see you guys next week. Cool. Goodbye.